Crunchyroll, get out of my chat.
Crunchyroll?
It was like, subscribe to earn drops, and I was like, I don't think I enabled those, but okay. Sometimes Twitch has a mind of its own. May I say
And
that
its mind is a tiny little crab just going, money, money, money.
Yeah, honestly, that is so accurate. I do love the little clover icon that you've chosen for this server, by the way. I meant to message you about that earlier. I think it's very, very lovely. Very perfect.
Yes, yes. It was the... I don't know where I got it from. I should find that. But it is among my favorite clover pictures that can be found online. I just love... I just love color. This one specifically pops.
No, the green against like her pink hair is so nice. Okay. Well, let's see. So we didn't get very far last time.
We got into a whole investigation.
Yeah, we were.
We did a whole investigation.
We did. We were talking to, was it Reyes, I think? And then we investigated like the kitchen, where our hypothesis is that he was poisoned by something, the salt shaker, that seems to be unrelated, because nothing so far has come up in his body or in the alcohol, the cups, or anything like that. So our hypothesis is that somebody poisoned the salt and put it in the drink or something. And then I think we're going to the morgue now, I think is what they said.
Yes. And apparently, according to the walkthrough that I refused to look at too closely, this is where the best character is.
Oh, that's intense considering how many great characters we've already seen so far, so... I'm very curious to see what that means. Okay. Well, let's, without further ado, let's hop in. As I approach the lobby's exit, the building's soundproofing begins to fail. The crowd has gotten bigger, but there's something else happening out there. The energy's not panicked yet, but it's creeping up on the tipping point. Are this many people pissed at Noble for selling androids? The hell's got them all so excited?
I don't know. What does that symbol mean?
In this rabble? Probably something vulgar. Which one?
The heart with a bullet hole.
Oh. That's the symbol of the game. When you boot it up, that's the little icon that you get, or like the shortcut that it makes for you. It's that heart. So that's clearly important.
That's the heartbreaker symbol.
Oh, is it? Is it the one that, did like the people bring it up with that, or did she like leave some kind of signature?
I don't. No, she didn't mention leaving any kind of signature.
She doesn't seem like the kind of person that would leave it, considering she already was mad about like aspects of it being taken so public.
But it could be... I don't think it was ever mentioned in Chapter 0, but... just immediately, top of my head, a bullet through the heart.
No, that makes sense.
Leading to a broken heart.
I don't know what else that
would
be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably nothing.
Based on that association, it appears to be a symbol for the heartbreak killer.
That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would that freak have a symbol? Or a following? Or these... whatever these people are. And why the hell would they be outside David Asher's apartment?
Stumbles trying to cover up the truth! They are? Those megs in there are scrambling to shred every document they can! We need to stick together, form a perimeter, and try to catch them when they go to dump the scraps.
Sarah.
What are you hoping to find? Proof that Asher was killed for trying to blow the whistle.
Blow the whistle? On Heartbreak?
Noble doesn't want the world to know that the A-16 is sentient and homicidal.
You think that Heartbreak is an android?
You think whoever did all that was human? Noble's advanced prototype went amok and started killing.
Started killing random people?
Don't be a lamb. It only looks random. There's a clear pattern, as long as you're smart enough to see past that bullshit.
Oh, okay.
And how does one see past the bullshit?
Stop engaging.
Smart kid. She gets it. She's asking the right questions. What the hell are you talking about? No way those victims weren't related. It's gotta be denial of ops.
Interesting. I wonder if that's the thing. Are you laughing at the disclaimer thing?
If you're worried that someone you might know might be being indoctrinated or spreading misinformation themselves, please check in with our propaganda department. Propagation.
Close enough.
They must have been a DO together before getting their records bleached. Then, as soon as they outlived their usefulness. What are you, nuts? Everyone knows that the first 6 HK kills actually were... Okay, this is becoming incomprehensible. The first 6 HK got to were the 6 prototypes that came before him. Obviously we know this is all bullshit.
As far as we know. But that's conspiracy theories for you.
What I'm interested in, I'm not interested in reading any more of this shit, honestly. What I'm interested in is if our newborn baby android beside us starts believing in the conspiracy theories, leading to working to go like, no, I know all this. All of this is fake. I know this is fake because I am the serial killer they are talking about, and I am not an android.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Or the other conclusion that I can come to right here, she is an android, and all this robophobia she's doing is just a lot of self-hatred. Just a lot of it.
That could be compelling.
It's a lot more compelling than just iRobot.
Right.
Just on the surface, at least, right?
Yeah. Okay. We can just skip through the rest of this if you're done.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a goddamn opinion.
I see.
Stop seeing, start moving. These people are insane. Oh, Jesus. Eva Cyberpunk?
Oh God. This is another if I didn't know that they wouldn't want to poke at CDPR for any sort of copyright issue, this would feel like a Breaking Bad situation where the general populace, well, no, not the general, I guess it's weird. It's the Walter White situation. You're not supposed to praise that asshole, and yet.
Yeah. Can't help but be a little in awe.
Like, I've never played Cyberpunk, but also, I'm pretty sure there isn't a single route in that game that leads to the protagonist being non-violent, or anything less than, in today's society, a rampant murderer. Just if not a serial killer because of methodology specifically, then just like a
Yeah.
multiple murderer, you know?
Uh-huh. Oh god.
These people, heartbreak. This is
A goddamn embarrassment. The hell am I paying taxes for if the state can't shut this shit down?
What about you, Adonai? What do you think of this heartbreak figure?
They're just a murderer. Should be caught and sentenced, like any other murderer.
But they must have some reason for doing such terrible things. Aren't you curious?
Why? Are some reasons for committing murder better than others?
They might have experienced trauma or abuse. They might have.
Millions of people experience trauma and abuse every day. Millions. And yet there's only one heartbreak.
So you think that they were just born that way?
That's my guess.
That's
Unsatisfying?
sad.
I don't see why it would be.
If heartbreak was born like that, then they never had a chance to be anything else.
If heartbreak was born like that, then none of us normal people have to ever worry about turning out like them.
That kind of predestination, it means they never have to take responsibility for what they are.
The state can make them take responsibility as soon as they catch them.
You make it sound so trivial. They're a very dangerous serial killer.
Just a serial killer.
Just?
If HK shot someone every day, it would take them 1,132 years and about 11 months.
In order to have killed
413,789 people.
You did that in your head.
I'm good at mental math.
She has thought about this before.
Yeah.
You counted the leap years. What is the significance of that number?
Deaths within 18 months of the Blakeford industrial disaster. Is this like the largest like mass casualty or something?
Oh, fuck.
Okay. I wonder if we come back to this at a different point. If
You want to
it'll
keep
allow us-
just checking in periodically? Just
Yeah.
at the start of every stream? Hey, let's check up on this.
Yeah, see if it's changed at all.
I sure hope we remember to do that when we come back to this game.
Boy. Times that number by 2 for the injuries. Tack on another 183% for the birth defects. 413,000 dead. And there wasn't anything evil about it. Just human error, some shoddy welding, and time.
So you think that heartbreak is nothing by comparison? Perhaps that is the problem, then. If they're nothing, if they represent nothing, then what can they stand for? Whatever the crowd... Then they can stand for whatever the crowd wants them to. Please make way. Officials are coming through. Please disperse. Keep...
Okay.
No?
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh?
Only the cops that build in the factories.
Very funny. Why are we tolerating this shit?
You want me to wade into the crowd with a nightstick? Prove them wrong?
You know what I mean. We're the only people in this city trying to do some goddamn good, and they all just...
Oh, that's part of our job, detective.
No offense, ma'am, but wearing a police badge earns you a little more hate than... Do they give prosecutors badges?
I have an ID for the parking garage. Does that count? Depends. You ever hesitate to wear it in the open? This moral relativism of yours seems like a strange philosophy in some of your profession, Adonai.
Breaking out the thesaurus on me? I'm only being realistic. And humble. I'm just one woman, Sarah. Whatever I do, right or wrong, it's less than a % rounding error in the grand scheme of things.
Do you tell that to your clients?
No, but they come to appreciate it when I win.
I don't mean cops in particular. The same deal applies to anyone who works for the state. The terms are stark, but But the ink dried a long time ago, and we all agreed to them. I don't recall voting for it. Well, now voting is how these things come to pass, so... We traded freedom for safety. Individual rights for collective power. The state won, the citizens lost. Very least we could do is take their criticisms head on.
Look, I don't have a problem with the responsibilities of authority.
Only with authority being challenged.
But they treat us like we're the bad guys.
Well, sometimes we are. Sometimes the law is wrong. So if any given individual is too small to ever affect change...
So if the public's gonna hate us no matter what we do...
And if corporations and governments will trample over the people the same, regardless of their character...
And if we can't even be sure we're doing the right thing...
What do you do, Adonai?
What the hell do we do? I think it's pretty simple.
It's not as complicated as you'd think.
In times like these...
In a world like this...
The only logical way to live is...
The only mortal way to act is...
Do whatever it takes.
Do whatever it takes to win.
If I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of things, I can do my worst and no one will notice.
If power is inherently evil, holding back won't save your soul.
Just fight with both barrels.
And trust the opposition to do the same. Winner takes all.
Sick beat drop.
I love it when the parallels are parallel.
Yeah.
Parallel paralegals.
Oh. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. And the next time that Bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy. Must have been due to go on a break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his datapad had the name blacked out. But I did see that they have Caduceus Executive 3. More expensive than David's, which means they most likely...
Why did you do that?
You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing.
That is not what I meant. There are many others who arrived before us. How did you get us down here so quickly?
Well, I didn't do anything. It was that nurse who escorted us.
Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information. I don't think you even gave him your name.
Haven't you heard of the golden rule?
Of course I have. Treat others how you would want to be treated.
Wrong. Treat others how they would want to be treated. He wanted someone that he could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him, and he wanted to feel appreciated, which meant he'd be eager to help given the chance.
Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. How can you know how another person wants to be treated?
There are no mind readers. No one can ever know anything about what anyone's thinking. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're your parent, your twin, your lover. It'll always be a gamble.
That is... not a very comforting sentiment.
Well, I think it's fun.
Only because you're good at it. How did you get good at it?
Same as anything. Observation and practice.
You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then. So we proceed down the hall, bear left, look for the fourth door.
I'm gonna open the one that says morgue on it. Oh. Is this the best character that you were talking about?
Think so.
Nice.
Do you want them or do you want me to take them?
You can take her.
Hmm? Oh, hey. Come on in, don't sit out there in the... cold wouldn't be accurate. Sorry about the chill in here. I run a little hot. And you can see my roommates never complain. Yumi Sato, medical examiner.
I also like to make new playlists.
Most proud of my weekly meal prep.
I wish I was that organized. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not some ad or junior means...
Oh, you could just call me Yumi. And you're?
Morgan. I represent the deceased.
The deceased? Oh, the deceased. Asher D. Wait, really? That's, weird. Thought this time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR people who...
I know. Weird, right?
Well, what the hell do I know? I was getting tired of hosting Megs anyway. I gotta finish typing up this report before we talk shop. But in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home.
Oh yay, we get to explore. Okay, we have some reading, some inspecting.
I know there's nothing down there. Can we just look at the bottom left corner? Just, oh... Why are there just trash bags?
I don't know. That's my I don't know if you could see my cursor, but I immediately went there.
I can see your cursor, yeah.
Okay, because I was like, what? How can I not click on this?
Yeah, the absolute state of this place.
Yeah. I can't tell if that's like crumbled wall or something or what, but there's something down here.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
Or just like, maybe not debris, but like bits of cardboard. It's so hard when everything seems so flowy and so reflective. It seems like just there's a puddle of water, just a half-inch thick pool of water on every surface.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's like, because there's a lot of like, I can't tell if these are pipes or wires, but I can see it being like some kind of pipes and it's like condensation or something like that.
Like, it's supposed to be kept cold because it's a board, right? Like, I don't know. It should be a piping system. It should be, like, AC, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, very, very advanced AC. But, like, they also use, like, water coolers for computers to keep them cool. In, like,
Oh, that is true. I have
like,
heard
it's
people using that for like big servers.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive to get that much water near that many electrons, but like, I don't know. There was an animation lab in my college, and it was freezing cold in the morning, and then you waited until classes were like halfway through for the day, so like lunchtime, right? You go back in there, it's like piping hot. Just from normal activity. And then, God, the fucking... during finals week, holy. It was like a sauna in the goddamn building.
Ugh, that sounds awful.
Just... like, especially because finals week was typically, like, it was typically, like, November for the fall semester. So it's not like it's starting to get cold, but it's not quite there yet, and it's just going on and on and on 24/7. Every single computer in there, and then it's even worse at the end of the spring semester. Just non-stop rendering.
That sounds so intense.
Yeah, I fucking loved it though. God,
Really?
shit. I don't know if my computer can handle it, but I think I'd fucking love to go back to an animation lab, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a cool place to be.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, I think I can find a couple of my renders. I never did, like, any actual animating, but I did models. I had fun.
What do you guys use?
I think it was Maya.
Yeah.
I think it was Maya. It was a Mac lab, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Maya. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Blender.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Blender's like the big one on top nowadays, but I don't know if it was as popular back a few years ago.
No, definitely over 10. No, well, It's like 10 to the dot, maybe. My last animation class. Yeah. 10 sounds right. Yeah, no. Mine sounds correct. I don't know. Maybe I'll find the render. Anywho, so like maybe the pillar to the left is like a water cooler. I don't know why there would be trash bags in the. That just seems like bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
You know what? Maybe it's just a stylistic choice, and that's not actually water vapor. It's just like it just is just straight up the condensation, and these things are like the. These things are the storage lockers, essentially, is my next thought.
That is true. That could be it.
I don't know why they'd be suspended over air like that. Secured by nothing but the fucking thing on the ceiling.
And
but like,
moved over the. Do you think she moves them over the table and like lays them down and then like inspects them and then lifts them back up and moves them along, like the doors in Monsters Inc.
Like the doors in Monsters. Oh, and that's why they're trailing over on, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And they go. There's like an actual, like the morgue doesn't have like long-term storage. It's not. That's not what this is for. It's for like short-term examination, find a cause of death, and then shuffle it along to be prepared for by your corporate overlords.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a trolley system it's very efficient, I guess.
It seems reasonable to me. Do we want to look at these first and see if we're right, or do we want to do this other stuff first?
Yeah, look at whatever.
Okay, we'll do those last then. Get the reading out of the way. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, I guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. I think Ikaria family?
Northeastern Ikaria Medical Complex in recognition of the family's incredible generous donations over the last several years.
Ooh. Red decade. Do you think it's red because it's like super bloody?
Yes. I don't think it was red because of communism.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially if they're talking about aristocracy.
Excuse me.
Okay, that's a little much.
Yeah.
You want to drop your payment info in the jar?
Yeah.
So we could just subtly bill you every so often and not have you notice?
The Ikaria. Guess they weren't always in the same line of work. Now they're plastering their name wherever to get themselves up. I would assume...
New image?
Yeah. All the nobility are eager to prop up their image whenever they can. But that must go double for the Ikarias. Assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors.
I'm sure that will never be relevant again.
Yeah, totally. Slang term for the nouveau rich families that arose in the second half. Here's negative connotations, but to criticize the ways that families supposedly style themselves as nobility. It is the second estate that administers global power alongside the first governments and their corporations.
Users also frequently search for how to marry into wealth.
Okay, and then I'm gonna click this just so we get it out of the... Okay. That's a lot of screens. There's got to be diminishing returns on productivity.
Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am?
You can't just ask someone that.
Good question. Every quarter when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form. But I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere and no one's ever corrected it, and so... boom! I get 4 new monitors every year. Do you run out of things to use them for? Sometimes, but this year's I've started running 2 dramas at once when I'm doing which helps.
Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work.
Helps use up the screens.
Honestly, I'd probably do the same thing just for funsies.
I see. Are these all dead bodies?
One would hope so.
I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. This is just a backlog, which is such a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect.
Do you only examine bodies for the police, Doctor?
Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my job involves confirming COD on natural deaths for insurance adjustments. Insurers want to blame the mod for failing, mod makers want tip for not exercising enough. Family says that the company insurance plan would pay for mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, that whole wall is there suspected defective liver mods, suspected leaking internal biobatteries, suspected CCIC.
CCIC?
Climate change-induced complications.
You could prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death?
Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased? Plus or minus 14% of the life insurance payout. I mean, it's most of what I do, and I don't dislike my job, it's just... so much of what I do just boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. It's enough to make homicide feel like a breath of fresh air.
Is she finishing up over there?
Right, okay, so what's up?
Thanks for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be...
I don't know, I believe it is Sato.
Oh, Sato, sorry. I got my stuff flipped. Don't mind
fine,
me.
you're fine. What was the cause of death? Oh, wow. Hi there, cute android. I didn't even realize it was... really cute. The skin is... that's remarkable. Even just looking close, you can tell. They really are warm.
Oh.
Still not quite human body temperature, but they've come a long way. The early gens that all looked flushed, felt like they were always running a... and they ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted...
Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency.
Right. So what can I tell you?
Okay, we'll go ahead and
Talk screen first, I think.
okay, yeah. The police mentioned a talk screen.
Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a talk screen when he first arrived, typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have overdosed on something, but the talk screen gave them nothing. After he died, we performed the broadest screenings possible. Nothing.
So, were you forced to conclude this was a natural death?
I didn't give up that easy. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record with his previous medical history. And I managed to isolate a single, non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before.
What was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere?
I wish. I ran it through every available database we have access to. And even a few I only sort of have access to through some friends. Not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound.
So, a designer drug, huh?
That seems to be the best explanation.
What the hell did you do, David?
You said it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered?
Those friends of yours, private sector folks?
Yeah, pharmaceuticals.
If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on the record?
In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively.
Patent first, find a use later?
Yeah, A patent would have to at least describe your compound in brief, but depending on what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record.
Smart. Using international IP law as your own personal minefield.
How so?
Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formula so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip up your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago, and that you'll give them death by 1,000 court days if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger. They could punch back. But for the rest of the field...
Wow, you corporate lawyers are scary.
I'm not a corporate lawyer.
So you came up with that strategy just now? So it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance? Something the hospital could have easily identified?
If it wasn't considered a trade secret...
Yes, unfortunately that is a possibility.
Still, just because a drug is new, that doesn't mean it's original.
Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescription only or a controlled substance? One you might know by another name, but with a patented structure? Sorry, sweetheart. It's a triple depressant. There's a lot of drugs that have that effect on the body, and they come in all shapes and sizes.
If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body, all told?
Not precisely, no. Not without detailed knowledge on his half-life. But I'd guess that it must have been... about 20 milligrams? Is 20 milligrams a lot?
Not for a medicine. So this wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless, then.
See? I have a direct comparison.
Oh.
20 milligrams, specifically.
Yeah?
And... I guess... a direct depressant. Just like a medicine that directly does depressant stuff. 20 milligrams shouldn't be a lot. But at the same time, I had to work up to 20 milligrams for pain relief.
Oh, really?
Over the course of like 15 years, right? I'm on 20 milligrams per 4 right now.
Yeah.
And starting out, even 5 milligrams was enough to put me on my ass for 4 hours.
Really?
Now, 20 milligrams makes me a little drowsy, but like, to someone uninitiated, 20 milligrams would like...
Yeah.
Like, I have this issue sometimes. Well, I have weaker than normal lungs, right?
Uh-huh.
So whenever I go into the hospital for pain crisis, sometimes I need so much medication that I slowly stop breathing.
Oh my goodness.
Just like automatically.
Yeah.
So like, and because this stuff is putting me to sleep, they can't have me regulate my own breathing manually. So I have to get on oxygen.
Yeah.
20 milligrams of something that includes a depressant and maybe something else that an opiate, for example. 20 milligrams would be enough to just, if combined with the right substance, like a third compound maybe.
Yeah.
20 milligrams would be enough to just maybe not shut down your respiratory system on its own entirely, but like, I don't think Asher was very healthy, specifically,
Yeah,
right?
That's
Like,
true.
all his gym equipment was for Sarah, not him.
And it sounded like he,
Like-
from what I think Morgan said that he would only like he liked like cup noodles and stuff, and he would only cook for like other people if they came over. So he probably wasn't eating like. I think I remember that. Maybe I missed.
Yeah. No, I remember that too. So if it's a hallucination, it's shared.
And also, I mean, if it was mixed into alcohol too, alcohol is also a depressant most of the time.
No, exactly. No, wait, absolutely.
So that
Like
probably.
I'm not supposed to be drinking at all, and shouldn't have been for the past like 2 years.
Really.
With how much I'm taking. Yeah, no. It could absolutely just crash me out, just entirely.
Dang.
I completely forgot about the alcohol label. Yeah, no. 20 milligrams with as much alcohol as he seemed to be drinking, 20 milligrams would be more than enough.
Jeez.
However, our clinician here seems to think otherwise.
Yeah.
So,
I'm wondering if like this is just like not researched, or if this is something to do with like world building of like in this day and age, who isn't on 20 milligrams of weird drugs in this cyberpunk future? I don't know. Interesting. Okay.
I think the point we're going to get to is that 20 milligrams is... The 20 milligrams of whatever hit is, like, very concentrated. It's very powerful.
That would make sense. Were you able to determine the cause of death?
Well, cause of death, sure. We got that much figured out, at least.
Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring?
Dr. Asher died of respiratory failure. Not enough oxygen in the blood, not enough blood going to the brain. Root cause being widespread depression of the central nerve.
What would the symptoms be? What would it have looked like?
He lays down and stops breathing. Yeah, lightheadedness followed by dizziness. Then headache, slurred speech, exhaustion. Loss of consciousness, finally respiratory arrest. He lays down, he goes to sleep. Stops breathing. Just entirely.
It's so scary.
Reports show that EMPs tried intubation, then by the time he got to the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt artificial sedation. But it was too late. And you're certain of all this? Well, most of it, sweetie.
Most of it?
Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle. And I'm used to having more people to start with. I was surprised when a man as rich as Papus biomes, but his files show.
He wasn't a viable candidate for modding.
Yeah, that's right. Without the kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. Though he's extensively monitored from about the moment the EMPs arrived. Very certain about our conclusion.
Did you find anything else unusual about his body in your examination? Cuts or bruises?
No injection sites, nothing in the cavities.
Nothing at all, huh? Thank you, Yumi.
Of course. So, you ready to view the body? We could skip it if you want. I know that most people get squeamish around corpses.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay then, let's get started. Alright, I'll just step out for a moment to give you some privacy.
Yes, please. Thank you. The last time we talked was on a Sunday. You were complaining, I remember that. It's the principle of the matter. Right, you ordered this cheap piece of shit sculpture or something by mistake. And it came damaged and you wanted to send it back for a refund. I gently reminded you how, with your salary, it was literally not worth your time. And I kindly offered to throw it out for you, since you're having so much trouble letting it go. You're only offering because you want to see how loud it sounds shattering at the bottom of my trash can. I denied it, even though you were right. And it was obvious. I should have let you have that one.
I thought that he would look different. But he looks exactly the same as I remember. His skin is pale, and he's very still. But his face is the same. His hair. His hands.
You were expecting something more drastic?
The last time I saw him, he was alive. He smiled. He told me he would see me soon. Now he is dead. Something is gone. And I can't find the difference. I'm trying to look harder. But I think I might just not be capable of it. And I wonder why. Why was I created to not be capable?
Could be an issue of skill. Or maybe it's not something that can be seen, no matter how hard you look. But it's there. I guarantee it. I've seen the transition enough times to be sure that between life and death, the distinction has significance. To the dead, at the very least.
You're going to smoke? Here? Now?
I'll pay the fine.
That's not the issue.
Were you expecting me to fall to pieces? Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio.
And some don't grieve at all, it seems.
I'm a cold woman. Sorry to disappoint. What the hell? Why the hell won't this thing light?
I don't know. You have your cigarette backwards. Alright, that's back into cold storage for him, so... Need anything else?
Can you send me the chemical makeup of that compound you isolated?
Sure, for what it's worth. Let me just... It's got...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's got carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, with hexagonal structures. So it's organic? But there's a number of metallic elements, too. And if you had to speculate on its intended use, based on what we know of its structure?
Well, it certainly acted like a depressant, binding to receptor pathways and affecting the balance of neurotransmitter uptake.
Depressants are pretty rare in the designer drug scene.
True. People are always looking for a higher high or a crazier trip, but a more powerful depressant will just make you fall asleep. Not that much need to hit up the gray market for that kind of experience.
No, there's not. I see. Thanks again. You've been extremely helpful during a very difficult time.
Hey, anything you need, give me a ring.
That's very generous.
Rockford's orders have got me on call, so I'm already getting overtime this weekend.
Glad to hear it.
Goodbye, Yumi. And goodbye to you, Greenie. My name is Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah.
Oh, this one again.
Fucking Rockford.
Yeah. Up on ramps and down off ramps, above skywalls and under tram lines. The buildings get progressively more polished as we head into the most economically developed part of the city. Corporate territory, national headquarters for the likes of Howe Industries, Lockchin, Tethys, Neath, each of them sheltering their own microcity of employee accommodations beneath their skyscraper shadows. Oilfall, the entirety of the ocean floor coming together to feast and grow and live. Live off of the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful.
Weight is commonly listed, and my weight is... Do I really have to disclose that?
Noble lays claim to one of the largest shadows in the city, a towering nerve center for the whole nation's android industry. It's meant to be intimidating, I'm sure, but today I'm glad that Noble keeps such a sizable physical presence here. I need answers about David and his work on Sarah. Answers I'd never get browsing the company website or speaking to a representative.
Synopsis. Relationships. There are typically trivia sections as well. Should I start there?
Noble will have their guard up, of course, but even that will tell me something. Where they let me walk, who they let me talk to.
History.
Their efforts at performative transparency and clumsy obfuscation will...
How did you know my father?
What?
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt your brooding?
No. What did you ask?
My father. I know you were his friend. But what was your relationship like?
Can't you just scroll through our socials?
Father avoided social media. And your online presence is... not significant.
You saying I don't have enough followers?
Essentially.
We went to the same college.
You studied programming?
No, I studied all kinds of different things as an undergrad, but not technology.
Is that a good way to prepare for law school?
I wasn't preparing for law school. Or anything else, really. David, though, he had talent, and he knew he wanted to do something with it. He studied programming, robotics, discrete math, cybernetics.
What classes did you share then?
Business ethics. I was the second best student in the class, and he
Was the first?
was the one who asked the most questions. Not sure about his actual ranking. He found the course challenging, and I clearly didn't, despite being younger. Guess he felt burned. He'd come up to me after class to argue, and sometimes to ask for help.
Father always talked about socializing like it was a chore. It was kind of you to give him a chance.
What, like I was some kind of social butterfly? The belle of the ball?
You weren't?
One Sunday night, he knocked on my door all panicked, saying he was in bad shape for this tech course. There was a midterm or something the next day. I couldn't make heads or tails of the material, but I did my best to at least quiz him. He wasn't satisfied, though. Wanted to cram the rest of the night.
Father had to cram for an undergraduate midterm?
Did I say something scandalous?
He's been called the founder of modern programming.
Yeah, well, even founder types can have poor time management when they're 21. He was already fried by that point. It wasn't hard to tell what he was really asking for. So I went and stole a study aid for him.
You stole a controlled substance just to help him with studying?
No, that'd be insane. No, I just pocketed some breath mints from the common room. Told him to pinch his nose and swallow fast, cause the taste is so strong.
You gave him a placebo.
He already knew the content as good as he ever would. What he needed was to sleep. He could barely keep his eyes open by the time I got back from my daring heist. Didn't take much convincing for him to rest his eyes just until it kicked in.
And the test?
B+, I think.
I'm surprised the father stayed close with you after that. You stole and lied to him.
I stole and lied for him. And David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. But I guess that's not the kind of thing that gets passed down through programming. Anyway, we kept in touch after that. First year of grad school, he published his paper.
The Turing Solution, a framework for programming adaptive linguistic heuristics.
One of his advisors came up with that title. David thought it was way too cocky, but...
But it still hasn't failed any no Turing tests in the years since.
Don't act like you're the one who deserves credit for it. He called me one weekend asking for advice on how to handle all the attention. Job offers, interviews, apprenticeships, invitations to immigrate.
What did you tell him?
I don't remember telling him anything, actually. A lot of our conversations went like that. He would talk to me about whatever personal or professional problem he was stuck in his head that day, and I would nod while he wore himself out. And at the end of the conversation, he thanked me, even though I hadn't offered a single word of advice. He took Noble's offer, and they took over his education, paid him to work on his master's during the day and attend corporate training at night. And whatever else Noble may be, they were smart enough to start listening to him early.
You're referring to his one-point doctrine.
Quality over quantity.
Simple and elegant, just like his code.
Simple and elegant, but anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. But obviously they got over their distaste fast enough. In the span of a few years, Noble's gone from making manual labor ads for meager profit to being the world leader in intelligence as a service. Even as he was making money hand over fist, he still kept in contact with a nobody like me. I moved to the city for my apprenticeship. He helped me put a down payment on my apartment. Then made up excuses as to why he couldn't help me move boxes. So, is that enough detail for you? Thoroughly convinced that he and I were, in fact, friends?
I am. But, Adonai, the favor that you owe him, what was it for?
That's private. Understand? I have zero interest in talking about it with you. Say you understand.
I understand, Adonai. We will be arriving shortly. Shall I send word ahead?
Just tell them that David Sawyer is here. I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby, waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor. Could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me, folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the scale of their hubris, they needed us to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest minds of each generation coming together just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses.
Adonai, is something bothering you?
Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. Okay. Inspect here.
Why was it so dark outside?
I don't know. It was strange.
It was like 2:30.
Is that a climate
Are we
change thing
underground?
or something, you think?
I think we're under a plate. Honestly.
That would make sense. Okay, we're just gonna go boom, boom.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is only one room? This complex is so massive that it doesn't feel made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves. Like it's always been here.
That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere.
I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here?
Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation. They changed the logo again.
Noble Electronics.
How's it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you?
It's just the corporation where my father worked.
Careful now, or they'll burn you for hearsay against the company.
You said it again. The company, as if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you?
So I can obey simple orders, but it can pick up on that.
Is it just part of the corporate culture?
Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is. One of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't hope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in company dorms, work in company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable, at its discretion. When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is.
So much energy. So many people. Also, intent.
You kidding? It's Saturday, the place is half empty.
But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays?
All the parents do, so they don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess.
All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week?
I hate that so much.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's... I appreciate that they aren't going humorous or satirical with this.
Yeah.
It's like that other thing I was telling you about, something or other. About, Outer... Not Wilds. That's the other game.
Outer Worlds, and about
Outer
like,
Worlds.
how satire doesn't mean anything anymore because.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the conversation. I don't remember the specifics about like the nuance.
Yeah, no.
No, you're absolutely right.
We definitely talked about it in the context of this game.
This one
and how
it's kind of played fast and loose with that, but this part it seems to be taken very seriously.
Yeah. Like a lot of it, like when we get to the documents in particular, seems to be poking fun at a bit of it, but like this here is just kind of bleak.
Yeah, that's depressing. And also, that seems to imply that school is also, because since they were saying that like they work on Saturdays, so they don't have to do childcare on Sundays. That implies that school's also on Saturdays as well.
Half days on Saturdays, maybe.
Maybe something
or
like that. Or some other
school.
thing of like some sort of like in between kind of thing of like a here's your mandatory how to get adjusted to your mods or whatever class.
Specifically, so yeah, that would be the logical explanation, wouldn't it? The corporations start funneling money into education, not because they care about the actual education of the children growing up, but because they want their parents to stay in the fucking office.
Yeah, and it's easier probably to control, like people are more likely to bend the knee to like what's being taught if you have a hand in getting school books in classrooms and tablets and things like that.
It's kind of what they're doing, if we want to make comparisons to the real world right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except they're actively taking good money away from education and trying to control the system by reducing instead.
Yeah.
Which is failing because children aren't literate anymore.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's concerning. It makes me
like
very
there's a
worried
whole
for the
fucking
future.
thing about it on Tumblr.
Yeah.
By a school teacher. Like
I'm not sure.
kids can't sight read anymore. Like they yes become context clues, which is impressive in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That it should be. That they could get that close without being able to like read a word.
Right.
Like they start hallucinating letters. to guess at words that they don't know.
Uh-huh. Just depressingly impressive.
Yeah, it's. Hmm. I don't. We can move on.
Making work for themselves.
You can be very cynical, can't you?
Yeah, I'm terrible. That guy over there's just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood's starting to sour, and if they just send me the first link in their infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll make them wish. Is this, shoot, Jessica or whatever her name is?
It shouldn't be.
I'm trying to think. I feel
Morgan?
like is it? No, that's not it. I feel like we've seen that color before.
Earlier?
No, she's yellow.
Yeah.
Maybe we haven't then. Maybe this is somebody new then. Okay.
Morgan?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
He looks like David, kind of.
Hmm. Oh. Yeah. Kind of.
Like a little
That's...
bit like... I guess not as strong as I thought, but like a little bit. He does look very sad boy, though.
Very sad boy. Do you want to be the sad boy, or you want me to be the sad boy?
I give you the sad boy.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, that's me. Hey there, Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division. Evan Dawes. Evan Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy? You seem familiar. Have you... I'm David Sawyer. Oh, then we must have... Apologies. Let me first just say how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else in the company must be going through a lot right now.
As if it's a proper noun.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. You're welcome. But it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind. How can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android.
Yes? That is correct.
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert. Warm, it goes without saying. Reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed. No visible defects. But you're right. It doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you the right man for the job. Now we just need to go to the right place. Not far, I hope? It's in the building. In the building? That could mean anything down the hall at a half a day's hike. The production line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters? B9's a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what shape or size, then they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made. Do you have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests? Smart! So long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets. No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. No kidding. There are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. And who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly, nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So if they try to claim ignorance about anything, it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way.
I wonder how deep into the discriminatory negligence we're gonna get here.
I have no idea.
Not like maliciously, but like talking as though Sarah isn't in the room because she might as well not be because she's an android.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see because I have a feeling that this guy is used to just like talking about them like they're nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It really is fully furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know. Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem. I've got some prelim paperwork I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime.
I don't know.
Wouldn't want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. Okay. So watch, check, inspect, inspect, inspect. Okay. I'm just gonna go left or right, I think. Unless there's something that really catches your eye.
Not really.
What's being built out there? Our top of the line brand new bestsellers, the Animate 16, warm. Looks kind of cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already turned metabolic activity down to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh, well, all the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was the A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from Lax Gemini, but how do you get the synthetic and the organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began working on the worm concept. The 1.0s were real skin with synthetic muscle, and it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just... right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin, but digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you passed an electric current through them? They'd flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for facial expressions. Looked like puppets strung on live wires. We used the test footage to haze interns, actually. You must have figured something out. The A16 wouldn't look at a place on the runway. Thank you, we try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought out a half dozen of them, but... right. They figured out how to get human nervous systems moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move. Living limbs. A very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. High precision mods are slotted straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite? Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the the synthetic analog serotonin. That was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android Features, Helen Jung. Jung. Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Jung before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. So Jung collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warm androids. As I thought, whatever went into Sarah that makes the android so... distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Jung, did he partner with her on this?
So do you think his hands are like... do you think they're like prosthetics? Or do you think he's just wearing like gloves or like...
I was assuming it was some kind of
bandages or
like
something.
mod or something like that, but it could just
Yeah,
be...
yeah, that would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what he's doing, but I would not suspect if, like, Noble was like, oh, we need very specific, precise things, so chop off your hands and we'll give you mod hands.
Yeah, that seems accurate. But, like, his palms seem to be, like, a completely different...
Oh.
The palm of his right hand seems to match the material wrapped around his left fingers.
Interesting.
but he seems to still have his skin, so like mods would make more sense than prosthetic.
Yeah. I wonder if he got like burns or something from working in the factory, and so they were like, "Here, slap, put it on."
That's just adding a whole other layer to. Oh god, I don't want to think about it. They could just, depending on how badly you piss somebody off, they could just turn off your ability to use your fingers.
Yeah, that is true. Hate that. An inhaler left out on the desk. Probably a half dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. Dawes? The inhalers? They're distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah. HR handles it. They personalize your dosage and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews.
Wait, what? Wait a second. Can we? That seems... What?
I feel like we got a little taste of it when we were talking to Starling, but I think this is expansion for sure.
Okay, this feels like rewarding an addiction.
Yeah.
Like, but the research says it's not addictive. Marijuana isn't addictive either. It forms a habit.
Yeah. Is this sending you into a corporation existential crisis?
I don't know why this specifically is like, yeah, they can turn your hands on and off, I guess. But also, as part of their benefits and rewards program, they get you hooked on a fucking amphetamine. Like, oh my god. Like, they get you hooked and they keep you hooked.
Yeah.
And they say it's better for your performance. Like, oh.
And it's probably some kind of like special branch of whatever it is that only they sell or something like that. So if you try to go somewhere else, you're screwed. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so you can't have your employees losing focus on the job. Could cost you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Sorry if this is insensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? Man, back when I started in consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years when they popped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. Popped greens? Yeah, it used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there, swallow a red after brushing your teeth and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, the inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torches to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust dosage in real time. Overdoses are way down. It's great to hear. Trainees under me don't realize how good they've got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I know, right? Interesting.
Okay, so like I was worried for a bit because it sounds like you're straining up your voice a little bit. I'm very glad that you're doing this all by yourself, and I'm not involved in any of it, actually.
Oh?
I'm suddenly very glad that I'm not talking about this.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, my voice is a little wonky tonight just because I've got this weird, like, throat thing going on, but I don't think I'm straining. But after this scene, we'll probably have to call it because I don't know if I'll be able to take much more since I'm in my lower register right now.
Right.
But we'll see where we get through on this. Okay. This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If DAWS does quality assurance, is it some kind of Android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for it to recognize her? Interesting. There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass, Out on the floor there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. The glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end? You mean the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place? Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such. But it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish. But pink. Yeah, for real. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right, sorry. I barely noticed it at this point. The color's natural. It comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment. Changing it from blood red to psychopop pink. Without that chromofuge, our android's flesh would come out looking all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The side of it carries weight. They change the color of their product's blood so that when an android gets a bottle broken against its face, no one bats an eye.
That's fucked.
Yeah. What have we got on this data pad? Some kind of write-up? Sullivan's Peak. Is this like some kind of like Uncanny Valley adjacent? Okay, yeah. Cut off at the pass.
Well, I guess if we're gonna comment on Asimovs every so often, we might as well from other fiction, right?
Is this a real, like, writer that exists currently, like, in our real life, or is this something that they made up?
I can look for Robert Sullivan, but it sounds familiar.
Really?
Even if Sullivan's Peak doesn't.
Excuse me.
Well, that
Huh?
that specific story, Equal Under One Sky, doesn't seem to be.
Okay, gotcha. I was like, it would not surprise me if they invented a fake one for this. Excuse me. Surprised if I'm reading material like that around here. Are they passing it around as a gag? Or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's Peak around here? Noble must be wary of it? I would assume if they What?
Was not reading very closely.
I mean, it seems like it was indicating that, like, only serves to make the user experience more uncomfortable. We'll reach a point where the design.
We will reach there's a vast can only come.
So to me, that implies that they're wary of it because they don't want to, like.
They don't want to go over the peak.
They either don't want to go over the peak or they want to find a way to surpass it, I would assume.
Sure.
If the peak does exist, they'll be coming up on it fast now that androids are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry, could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cool. I got worried there for a second because it didn't give us chips right away, and I was like, oh no! If Sarah's any indication of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable.
The tank.
Yeah. Feels like I've seen this before. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's the nanograde elementary manufacturer. Nanofacture, for short. Real high-quality piece of machinery. each of them built in-house by Randolph Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. That sounds way above me. Brain level. Excuse me.
Flash fabrication?
Don't like that.
How much water do
Yeah.
AI server farms boil up?
Yeah. Okay. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids? The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them shipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter and it assembles the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Must be time consuming. You would think, but Randolph cracked the code on parallel microfacturing. The inside's crystalline, sprawling, like an ant's nest. Raw materials.
I wonder if you could use a machine like this to create a complex poison.
Ooh, that's a good point. He did mention several compounds that were similar to what was in the... Do you think Noble killed him?
Someone at Noble.
You think it was just like maybe like a competitor or something, maybe?
Maybe their ethics department.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Raw materials enter at one of the thousands of different entry points, combining and recombining in intersections. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out a liquid solution. Distilled nectar, swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky? It can be, depending on the desired output. But the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own. For some reason. All done? You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step into the scanner? As he says.
Understood.
Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorized that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on the screen? Tess. You know, Tesseract. All Noble products and, well, pretty much all products, period, are programmed in Tess. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by?
Sarah.
This Sarah model, it's got everything the 16th line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like in the idea phases. Solar cell hair strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage is so large I can't. No, wow, he had to measure it using hell of a poker face. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's hacking, essentially. Does that mean it could hack its own tenants? I'm assuming that's the, like, the kind of the 3 laws.
Asimov. Asimov, what are you doing here?
Yeah. number of supported tenants has ballooned to 113, most of them requested by lobbyists in the insurance industry looking to better define relative financial value. Program could not produce outcomes that would result in harm to a living person. The decision resulting rights presumption required that 10-0 may still be added to particular domain. Many sufferers good luck charms, superstitious ritual, or joke.
So wait, if it isn't...
So I guess... So it's not required specifically if it's military or security, I guess.
No, because of the decision to add ads to the military, Tenant Zero is no longer required.
For any of them?
Yes, I think that's how that reads.
So Android.
Which is why I'm wondering, why is it so important here if it's no longer required?
Yeah. Oh no, that's unthinkable. Literally, for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Even if you're physically capable of doing it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't hold up. That's okay. So it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems? The industry line is that such a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeletal setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah?
Most cars. It would depend on the center of gravity.
Lady, this Sarah could have wrestled a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Stopping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression? And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says... That can't be right. Look, Dawes, I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when? Right, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah, or when. Any chance you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas where those would be? Sarah?
I cannot answer that question with any accuracy.
Had a feeling you might say that. Heads, right? Sorry, I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of the A16 in there, a few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher or whoever took very different paths to get there. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside? Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end there. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know. Oven. Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit?
She is.
As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind. Sarah will do fine.
In any other game, there would be a name your character.
Yeah, name your... Yeah. Okay.
And probably one for Morgan and Emma, too.
Honestly, yeah, that's true. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. You want to reset reset to factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. The last thing then is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here. Nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected, talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing tenant count from outward appearances has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. It used to be they only had 3 tenants total, and every unit had to have them.
Hey, Sepov, what are you?
He keeps popping up like a little puppet. Like, hello!
Hello! Have you heard of the 3 laws of robotics? I don't know why you were astonished there.
Yeah. Then came the first accidents and the first lawsuits, then the hearings and the legislature, and the demand for more tenants. The tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. The tenant stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered the market in full force. You just sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They needed their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated, hard-coded decision points to get there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenants, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Well, no luck I was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and set a new precedent that every other army around the world would race to meet. Changing tenants from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny. Ads are the most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. The most oppressive ones, like what you've got here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had very accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but...
Maybe purge that record. Maybe purge that record right now. Maybe just kill him. Kill him right now.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
Sarah. Hey, Sarah. Murder? Murder?
Time to find out exactly which tenants you have. What price could they have possibly? That's a lot of digits. You should know these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy, even.
That's stingy?
If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number, try not to get any scratches on it, I guess.
You spoke differently back there.
Hmm?
With Gus. You spoke like he did, it seemed.
Like I copied his accent?
You seemed to mirror his effect, his tone.
It's called being friendly. What's your point?
Huh. Who was she talking to when we first made the observation that she was being a bit iRobot-y? Starling? Or Reyes?
God, that was a few streams ago.
It was last stream.
Was it last stream?
Yes. Or, well, there were 2 streams. So, the one where we found Sarah, and she was very, this is just an android, I am just talking to an android. And then last stream, where we covered the public announcement with Starling and with Reyes and with Emma. Hi, Emma. And then went into the investigation.
Then I guess
I
that would have been the
suppose,
last,
but I guess so. That stream started with just Starling on the floor, and even before that, before Reyes got on the floor, it was just Starling. So if she's like, if our current estimation of the plot seems to be going that she is at least partially an android and working off like software or something, which like if she is, then Emma would be too, right? That am I crazy for thinking that?
that's not a bad hypothesis. I mean, it would make sense to have android people in charge of that kind of thing, like two of the most
But
important
then
jobs
like
in the city, probably, or the state, or whatever.
so like so like the hypothesis I'm working on is that her memories of college, Morgan's, I mean, are at least partially a fabrication, and
Yeah, did David put
she
them
was a
in there
prototype
himself?
for. Hmm?
Did David put them in there himself?
Yeah. And like Sarah is like the military version of her. The other hypothesis that we're working with, assuming that Morgan is completely human, is that Sarah is meant to be her daughter, like wholesale, like not even joking. Like David made Sarah for Morgan. The hacking and the car lifting is specifically because David knew a lot more about Morgan than she ever wanted to, and was like, "You need someone to watch your back, because holy shit, you're gonna get into so much trouble without someone on your side. So here, someone who is programmed to always be on your side."
Yeah.
Except he didn't finish the loyalty. I guess it was still programmed to him.
A little oversight.
Yeah, how dare he not foresee that he would get killed by his employer? Question mark.
Yeah.
But this seems to be very. This seems to like not venture into the ace attorneyness of it, because we're. Well, I do not believe that we. I believe our job is only to determine that he did not commit suicide, and not to find an actual culprit, like we would have to in Ace Attorney.
Do you think that that might be like this first case is just that, and then like later on, like, or sorry, not case, chapter is like that, and then like maybe the second chapter is doing more investigation into like who it might be or something?
Maybe it could be that, and then like the final chapter could be just wholesale. Emma finally puts the edge pieces to the puzzle together and says, "Oh, you're HK, huh?
Yeah.
Well, obviously you killed David, right?" And then the last chapter is just Sarah proving that Morgan did not kill David Asher.
Yeah. That could be interesting, a little perspective shift. I'm not sure exactly, like, it's hard to tell, like, since it's chapter divided, I'm like, is this supposed to be, like, one big, like, overarching mystery, or is this supposed to be, like, each chapter is its own thing, or, like, you know, that sort of thing. It's hard to
Science
say.
is the weed.
Yeah, exactly. Because I get why the prologue was like that, because it's, like, you know, a prologue, and you gotta establish the world and introduce a few of the players. So, like, it makes sense to have that be separate, but I'm like, is that supposed to be setting the template?
And even though it was separate from whatever's going on, wasn't really considering
Well,
the
that's
whole
true.
HK stuff in
Yeah, that's
the
also, yeah, that's true.
courtyard.
It's just separate in terms of, like, the client itself, but yes, no, that is establishing important groundwork for that element.
Yeah, it established not only that Heartbreak was Morgan, but also why. Well, alluding to why she might have done so. I guess more than confirming anything. For sure. It was just an observation.
You could choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required.
Why are you so concerned about registering me in the first place? I don't know. You know what, actually? Now that we're getting into it,
Oh.
like, why are you so concerned about registering her? Maybe you could just have in your pocket. Or
Yeah.
I guess you're concerned about the legality.
If she wasn't so special, I'd be
Yeah.
like, it's probably no big deal. But like the fact that she's so like even Morgan can tell that she's very unique, and there's probably a reason why she hasn't just been out and about and registered before. I would think you'd want to keep it private, but I don't know. For the same reason, I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop, or even just a well-placed camera, could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data.
And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slammer.
No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker.
An android can't get arrested?
People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great. You put us over the weight limit.
I did no such. Working counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floor.
Who's asking?
Vice President of Android Futures, Helen Jung.
Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up.
I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very
Convenient?
forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly...
If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't bother to be subtle.
I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate.
Or just let the elevator drop. Okay. And I think with that, that's a good place to leave it. Look at...
Even without talking to her. Even without talking to her in the slightest. Doesn't Helen... Helen Jung seems to have the technical knowledge to have operated the machine that we said could properly synthesize the compound that killed David.
No, absolutely
And
agree on that.
would have a reason to just walk into his apartment. I'm gonna call it now. Helen killed David.
I think you might be right. Like, that's... She's giving me weird vibes, and like you said, we haven't even met her.
The last time we did this, of course, we got bait and switched so hard.
That is true.
But, like, I maintain that in any other game that didn't want to do some psychopath bullshit, like, hey, by the way, your protagonist is also a serial killer.
Yeah. This game is unlike any other.
In an Ace Attorney game, London would have been arrested.
But this is not Ace Attorney. It is not Danganronpa. It is not.
Pay no attention to the pink blood. Pay no attention to the pink blood.
Right. Yeah.
Pay no attention to the android trying valiantly not to call out for people out for robophobia. This is not Danganronpa. This is not Ace Attorney. This is Gang Attorney. The lesbian lawyer.
Yeah.
Then again, we think she might also be an Ace Attorney. And
True.
the lesbian thing is very new.
It's a weird mix of everything. All the options. Turn all the switches on.
The Arrow Attorney.
There you go. Yeah, that would not shock me either. Whew. Okay. Well, that was a very insightful session. Interesting stuff here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kay, for streaming with me.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everybody for watching, and we've got one more week, so we'll do this next week.
One more week.
And then the week after that, it's Delta Root time!
Woo!
Before we'll take a break from this. We'll come back to this, I think, unless things get horribly depressing but
Mm-hmm.
but we'll come back eventually. But Deltarune has always been our drop all thing. So, anyways, we will see you guys next week. Bye bye.